Americans, buckle in because you make up a majority of my audience, and today I'm about to introduce you, hopefully, to one of the most awful British television shows that I think has ever aired. This is a bit of a different video, so let me know what you think of this in the comments. But yes, today we're going to be speaking about a show that was cancelled in the UK, and we're going to be going over how it started, watch some of the funniest clips from it, speak about some of the very obvious concerns, and then why it was cancelled. We're also going to go into a bit about where the host of it is today, because he's went on a bit of a right-wing spiral. So if you haven't guessed already, the show that we're going to be talking about today is The Jeremy Kyle Show. The Jeremy Kyle Show was a British tabloid talk show that started in 2005. It ran for 17 seasons and was only cancelled in May of 2019 after a serious incident. It was the most popular programme by far in the entire channel's daytime schedule, so that's why it went on for just that long. If you've never seen any clips from the show, let me give you a brief explanation of what actually happened. So Jeremy Kyle would sit down on stage with people and discuss their relationship or family issues. That's what the show centred around. It was all about finding out if someone's partner had cheated, who stole money, etc. It would basically be a big domestic incident on stage for everyone to see, and there was a live audience, so it wasn't just us watching from home, but there were people actively going to see this go down in person. And although they did try to portray to the public that they had taken all the steps necessary by having an in-house psychotherapist and polygraphs to be used as a lie detector, the show quickly became controversial because not only was Jeremy essentially taking advantage of their home situation, but he was putting them into a situation on the show that was making them quickly feel distressed or angry. And of course, then you've got the problem of them making themselves look like an absolute idiot on national television on one of the most popular daytime TV shows. And the problem around taking advantage of the guests and putting them on such a dangerous stage was kind of amplified when you realised that everyone that was going on the show was always working class people. Maybe people who aren't as well off as others. People who a lot of the British public still actively hate on to this day. There's definitely a big issue of classism in the UK, and this show and others like it just really helped to amplify it. We were basically putting these working class families on stage with all of their loved ones, and Jeremy was basically treating them like a live piñata and was just hitting them with a bat over and over. All for the enjoyment of the British general public. But hey, Americans, don't think you're in the clear, because Jeremy actually got so much love here in the UK that he decided to take his show over the ocean, and he started an American version of his popular television show. It ran for 2 seasons between 2011 and 2013, but despite it only having 2 seasons, it broadcast over 300 episodes. It was basically the same format, exactly the same as the UK version, and pretty much what you'll see in the clips we're about to watch. And the only reason it was cancelled was because they didn't feel like they could realistically renew it for a 3rd season. Because they said although the ratings were positive and quickly increasing in many markets, it wasn't enough for them to renew. Because like they say, talk shows take time to build. But I don't think me just explaining it can ever get across just how bad and awful this show was, so let me just show you some clips that we'll watch together.
Sending explicit pictures of your private parts to her.
I've sent one and I had a bad day at work. Then she got me arrested for harassment 9 weeks ago.
Why did she get you done for harassment?
Because I was harassing her all the time.
I might catch something off her because she goes round sleeping with other people.
No, don't! Who? Me?
No, I'm not like you.
Although the show was awful, and we can admit it was awful, it did have some absolutely hilarious moments. Of course, all of that is overshadowed when you realise just how badly they're being taken advantage of, essentially, and the very distressing situation that they're being put in. But I'm not gonna lie, if you grew up in Britain around the same time I did, you probably watched this show, especially, you know, if you were ever off school one day because you were ill and then you wanted to put something in the TV, that was usually what was on.
Can you spell father, by the way?
F-A-R-T-H-E-R. Can you spell that?
Listen, I don't know who you are, I don't know why you're here, but I've seen you've got towels for curtains in your house.
Thank you very
You
much.
could be as good a father as you are envelope collector. The world will be a...
Now, see, to be fair to that last guy, that was some shot to hit Jeremy with. And look, no one deserves it more. What a... You know what? Get that guy on, like, the same stage as Luke Littler.
Sorry, Nath, I do apologise. It's been...
You gonna do it with me?
No, you're ridiculous.
Right, ridiculous. I'm not ridiculous, mate.
Jeremy Kyle hitting the dab is not something I thought I would see in 2025. And you know what? I genuinely think the show should have been cancelled for that reason alone. So those are some of the top moments, but I'm not done laughing at this show just yet. I pulled a full episode of the show up just to show you how ridiculous it is.
Indeed, the father of a 10-month-old son. Now, she says that he has denied the child ever since she fell pregnant, and his constant accusations of cheating finally drove her to kick him out of their family home just a month ago. Now, Michelle is determined to prove to David that she's never ever been unfaithful before she says today, ending this marriage for good. It's a big day for her. Michelle is on the Jeremy Kyle Show.
Now this is absolutely peak because I always loved this, how they brought out the guests and it's like they're walking out for a UFC fight, you know, playing the really aggressive background music while they walk out like they've been training for 6 months. I think they should have done pre and post match press conferences as well at this rate.
The only way I knew how to hurt him was to lie and say I was pregnant when I wasn't. But when he come and he spoke to me...
You lied to him about being pregnant?
Yes, but he come and we spoke and I told him straight away that I lied to hurt you.
Or to get him back?
No, not to get him back. It wasn't to get him back. It was to hurt him.
You can probably see my point though, that these are things that shouldn't be aired out on national television for the public to laugh at, but rather things that should be told to, you know, a therapist. Look, I'm a big fan of a reality TV show. I'm not going to lie. I loved this show back in the day when I was much dumber and much stupider. You could argue I'm still dumb because I don't even think stupider is a word. But looking back, it was just so awful how we just watched this like it was what it was intended for, entertainment, when realistically it's so much more than that.
Then he comes back and then you get pregnant. He presumably doesn't believe you when you tell him the second time.
No, he was there when I did the test.
And yeah, and they always had these backstage cameras for the other guests because there was always like multiple people on the show, obviously. So they always had this backstage camera that they would not only pan to on the version for broadcast, but the screens behind Jeremy, they would also show the backstage camera just so the other person would start to get even more annoyed. And also, let me point out, they always had these little taglines at the bottom of the episode, and some of them were just absolutely outrageous. Like, we've got this absolute banger: I know you're cheating, stop blaming the dog. What does that even mean? I hope my husband's girlfriend isn't my boyfriend's sister. DNA results. I didn't know they filmed this show in Norwich. Prove I'm a dad, then I'll prove I haven't slept with my mum. I don't know how these people were comfortable with their face being on telly over this tag. My mum's a 62-year-old pensioner who won't stop sleeping around. Has my son cut up my sex toy? My boyfriend is a woman and my baby is a doll. If DNA proves you're my brother, you'll never be part of my family. And here's an old-timer. My fiance has slept with over 100 men, but has she been unfaithful to me? I think that depends, pal, on if she slept with the over 100 men before or after the relationship. I'll marry you if you prove you only cheated 18 times. Only. Your son can't be mine because he's ginger. Look, stop the ginger hate. It's 2025, guys. I'll prove to my fiance I didn't steal from the bread bin. It was her sister. Is the bread thing a thing in America? By a bread bin, I mean not a bin that you dispose of bread in, but look, it's one of these things. It's a bin type of thing. It's more like a container where you store bread. Is this a thing in the States? Because to be honest, now that I'm thinking about it, it very much seems like it's just a British thing. I've also heard that Americans don't have kettles. Please tell me, is that true? Do you guys have kettles? Did you cheat with another woman on Coronation Street? This implies that they were both on the popular show Coronation Street. Where was my boyfriend when he said he was behind the chicken shop? I'm just gonna take one guess here and say, let me think actually. He might have been behind the chicken shop. So I've pulled up another episode so I can go over the show's format more. This one is about someone admitting to cheating twice, but will they pass a lie detector? And whenever a new person was introduced on the Jeremy Kyle Show, he would always stand up and let them do their little WWE walkout.
Are you doing a lie detector? No. Just her. Sky's on the Jeremy Kyle Show.
Now, believe it or not, that was a relatively calm walkout because it's usually, you know, they come out all guns blazing going, I didn't your sister! And then the big beefy security guard has to get up in their face and go, here, back off, pal.
Talk to each other. Do you believe her? Look at her. Talk to each other.
I didn't, but I'm starting to. Are you right, babe?
Yeah, I'm alright.
Calm down, man.
See, and then they go on the show to just essentially make up. I guess you could say that it's doing a positive in that sense, because when they're on stage together, they actually decide to, you know, actually get on. But still, why go on the show in the first place? Couldn't you, A, go to a therapist and, you know, get an actual professional to tell you what's up? Or B, simply do this at home and try and stay calm, guys. So now we're about to get into the famous lie detector test, one of the key integral parts of this show.
Give me those all-important lie detector results in it. You all right?
Yep.
Can I ask you something, Ricky, without you getting angry?
Yeah, of course.
How much cannabis do you smoke a day?
100 a day. I used to, and then it was like 40 days. So what? I smoke weed, bruv. So what? I don't drink. I don't take drugs.
Go and get a job.
You're right. You're right. You know you're right, Jimmy. Man should get a job.
Because I'm trying to help you. What's the biggest side effect of being a pothead?
Paranoia.
Will annoy her, and in the end, she'll do a runner.
Yeah.
We asked Sky, since the start of your relationship with Ricky, have you had sexual intercourse with any other person? You said no. Why'd you say no?
I was telling the truth.
Are you sure?
Yeah.
She was telling the truth, Rick.
So yeah, that's how it goes, you know, it's always follows the same format. I wonder if they practice it beforehand, or if just the British brains are so connected that everyone knows the exact script of the Jeremy Kyle lie detectors. Because he always said, you stole the bread from the bread bin. Why did you say that? And then the guest says, because I was telling the truth. And then he either says, because she was telling the truth, to an absolute brazen round of applause from the live audience. Either that or he goes, because you're a dirty liar. And I wish I was blowing that one out of context, but he does genuinely get that rude to them. You know, I think I should start to get a live audience for these videos, you know, just in the background to applaud and, you know, absolutely relish my every move. Comment below if you want to be part of the live Jessicur audience for the next Bonnie Blue video.
From where I'm stood, you've done rather well to get a girl like this, and I'm telling you categorically, you carry on like this thinking that she's playing with your friend's bits with her feet, she'll go running the opposite direction. You all right?
Yep.
Happy you passed?
Yep.
Are we going to try and make this work?
Yeah.
Are we brethren?
Yeah.
Good man, get out of here. Go, get me out of here. Go on.
And this is where the show can have its positives though, because I don't have any doubt in my mind that it has genuinely helped some people's relationships over the years. Now that does not outweigh the negatives in any way, especially considering what we're about to speak about and how serious it is. But clips like this do show that, you know, sometimes these lie detector results can work, but sadly there are many other times where it goes wrong. Now this is a clip when a man called Steve Diamond appeared on the show. Now the footage you're about to see was originally unaired because of the tragic incident that happened to the guest who appeared on the show afterwards, and I'm not going to show the full clip, and don't worry, there's nothing like terrible being shown. It is just a clip from the show that would have aired on TV if what happened didn't happen, but it's what happened after the fact that makes the event so tragic.
Why'd you lie so much?
If I knew the answer to that, Jeremy, I wouldn't be here.
What do you mean by that?
So you can already see that this man was already a very emotional man, and he was actually denied 50 times in the past when he tried to apply to go on this show because of his depression. It was only the final time when he went to his doctors and got a note saying that he would be okay to go on the show and also partaking in a lie detector test that he was finally allowed to appear on it, and that would prove to be probably the worst mistake anyone in the history of the show has ever made.
I mean, I said, I think, before the break that you take this so seriously you went to your doctors because you were on medication?
Yeah. When the first time we applied for the show, they wouldn't let us on because they said I was on depression tablets. I went to the doctor and said I haven't took any. Took the full box back. Said I don't want them, I haven't touched them. I just want to get my life sorted out with Jane. The doctor wasn't very helpful at all, was he? He didn't help one bit. Gareth was a great support to us over that. I stood outside the doctor's that night and said, I need to see a doctor. I want to see a doctor. I need to get my life sorted out. And when we saw the doctor on Monday, he didn't even know what the hell I was talking about. The reception is completely void.
You wanted to do this test today, yeah?
I must have rung your show up about 40, 50 times, leaving voice messages.
And that just goes to show how when the Jeremy Kyle show was on the air here in the UK, it did seem like a viable option to people who might not have been able to afford a therapist or anything like that. And that's really disturbing because even after all of the years, over 3,300 episodes of people blatantly being bullied on national television, people were still willing to go on it as a final ditch attempt to fix their problems.
Are you telling the truth?
100%.
How many people in the audience, without me turning around, think this guy's going to pass the lie detector?
And that was another disturbing part about them having a live audience, and of course they blurred the footage of any audience members here because this footage was shown in court for what happened later. But Jeremy would always get them involved, and do you know how strange that must be to be on a stage with problems that could potentially ruin not only your relationship but your entire life, for there to basically be audience involvement on that, with Jeremy asking, do you think he'll pass a lie detector test? Do you think he's lying? Do you think he cheated? That's really just dystopian.
Since the start of your relationship with Jane, have you passionately kissed anyone else? She said no. Why did she say no, Steve?
Because I was telling the
Tess
truth.
says you're a liar, pal. Just so you're aware, you failed every single question.
Oh my God, I was never unfaithful.
Gotta go and talk to her.
And I think you can tell by his reaction that these lie detector results are clearly false, and polygraphs are not really a reliable method for lie detectors. Professionals on this subject have literally said in the past, if you even fail one question, well, there can obviously be mistakes, but if you fail even one question, you can fail the rest, even if you're telling the truth. And you can see the utter shock in this guy's face, that he knew that he was not unfaithful to his partner. And Jeremy and the audience laugh, and Jeremy just rubs it in.
I find it quite interesting that the audience thought you were telling the truth. I wouldn't trust you with a chocolate button, mate. Honestly, you are. I don't think you even know what the truth is.
You've done it. You've done everything. You've done it. Everything.
Jane, I haven't.
So you go to your fish and you meet her and everything. So that's wrong, is it?
Yes, I swear.
So the serial liar goes into the Jeremy Kyle lie detector and gets called a liar, and my test's wrong, yeah?
I swear to God, I swear on anything.
And look, this is a problem with having a man like Jeremy as a host as well. That whole comment about, oh, I wouldn't trust you with a chocolate button, mate. Especially while every single person in this family, in this room, is clearly distressed, upset, they're going through a lot right now, and you have a host who would rather not help, but rather rub it in, so the audience just enjoy it more.
First line out of her mouth when she came to talk to me was, and I quote, didn't need to lie. I'd have taken him.
I'm not going to say I've been unfaithful when I've not.
Something happened, pal.
Do it.
Something happened, absolutely, 100%. Doesn't have to be sexual intercourse. If you lie in that test, you know. I've told you before. I am not going round in circles, right?
Don't say that,
We will put you. Sorry, nice to meet you. Hey, oi. Think about that when you face her. Give him a round of applause. Think about it.
So that is actually a very hard clip to watch, and that's because of this. 7 days after appearing on the show, 63-year-old Diamond was found dead in his home in Portsmouth. It was found that he had passed away as a result of a morphine overdose combined with a heart condition. And after all of this, it was, of course, pretty much discovered that the lie detector tests were not very accurate, and that basically everyone in Diamond's life believed that he had never been unfaithful to his fiancée, at least after they had split and gotten back together, like the lie detector was asking. So the producers of the show told Diamond, and argued in court as well, that the lie detectors were between 94% to 96% accurate. However, like I said, it was also then presented in court that some experts have said that they can only be 60% accurate sometimes. And it was said by Diamond's son after the recording that his father had been calling him up to 6 times a day, and he was feeling very, very down after the filming. He felt that he had been branded a liar by the show, which he was when he wasn't. And he also spoke about how Jeremy Kyle encouraged the audience to boo him. And when Jeremy Kyle eventually took to the stand during this whole inquest, he tried to say that the show was about conflict resolution, and that rather than having all of this after the lie detector test happened on stage, he pushed it backstage. But you'll notice that it was actually his fiancée who went backstage, and Diamond and Jeremy followed. At no point did Jeremy really encourage them to go backstage. And I also completely disagree with his whole thing about conflict resolution, because an ITV producer has admitted, and of course, that the show at the end of the day was to make money. And there's so much better ways to go about conflict resolution. I wouldn't call it conflict resolution. I would call it poverty porn. Now, disturbingly, Diamond also had a history of self-harm and other mental health issues. And he also said he had never taken tablets for his depression, even though that is false. And his GP, in the letter that they wrote to the Jeremy Kyle show, did not include any reference to any of his past SH, which you'd think would be quite an important thing to include, especially when things can go this way. So this got so bad that even the Conservative government, yes, the Tories, even decided to call for the show to be axed. If you don't live in the UK, the Tories are essentially our version of Trump. They're the bad guys, right? I mean, so are Labour, so is basically every major political party here in the UK, but they're the bad guys. And although after the death was announced, they did completely stop the filming of any more episodes and stop the release of that specific episode, the show was still technically on the air. It hadn't officially been pulled, even though many MPs from all around the country were calling for it to be. And eventually, it did get axed. And I think I speak for everyone when I say, thank the Lord. And they really tried to wipe this from every corner of the internet, because their YouTube, their Facebook, their Twitter, their Instagram accounts, all gone. Like, if it wasn't for people archiving the individual episodes, then they would all be lost media. And considering there were 3,300 episodes that are no longer available to watch anywhere, like I say, unless someone has recorded specific ones, I would say a lot of them are lost media. And the deaths would just keep coming, because it was discovered that a guest on another TV show that Jeremy Kyle had hosted had also sadly taken her own life after her appearance. And it wasn't exclusive to guests either, because someone who had worked on the Jeremy Kyle show had also taken their own lives, and it was recalled that they had been experiencing feelings of guilt over the show beforehand. There has also been a concern that journalists have tried to reach out to producers and have never really gotten a solid answer on the actual aftercare that the show provides. Like, it's weird because they go on about how they really do help the guests after their appearance, but we have little to no information about everything that actually would go on. And this whole thing of basically taking advantage of people who aren't as well off isn't exclusive to the Jeremy Kyle show or other, tabloid talk shows, because there are other shows where producers will go to a certain area of Britain that might be known for being a bit poor, and rather than speaking to the actual residents to paint a good picture of the place, because it might not all be that bad, just because somewhere is poor does not mean that it's an awful place to live. Instead of interviewing the actual people there, they decide to go for the people who are well known for maybe their quirks or their bad behaviour. This has happened multiple times before, and it's like the producers of these things care more about viewers' entertainment than actually making sure people are represented well in national telly. And would it surprise you if I told you that the man who hosted this awful TV show is now hosting another show for not just any platform, but a right-wing platform? Wow, shocker. I'll give you a second to contain your utter surprise. He delivers a news show for Talk TV where he delivers the day's news with the viewers at heart. It's more radio than TV, but he's still doing something. But just because he's part of the right-wing grifters now doesn't mean that he's immune from criticism for them, because one of the most popular right-wing news channels, GB News, which is absolutely horrific by the way, if you don't know what it is, don't bother, just be thankful. But some GB News journalists have actually slandered Jeremy Kyle for his show. So it shows that no matter where you sit across the board, you can still see the problems if you're willing to actually open open your eyes. And he's got an Instagram with over 150,000 followers, and of course, whenever he posts something, you have all the, 50-year-old mothers coming out in their masses to defend this man. Let's take a look at some of the comments. We've got this one here by a person called Wigs, where they go, "Jeremy Kyle is a legend, so is the show. We have too many soft people in this world, unfortunately." We've got this comment by Jude saying, "Bring it back up, the woke world is changing." Or you've got, "The only person who can save Great Britain." We've got Big Stacey saying, "Oh my god, please say our Jessicur is back. Morning TV has never been the same since you went away." But then we've got the best comment of them all, and it's one that I agree with. All the jobless people getting excited again. Before you say it, I'm allowed to say that I am glorified unemployed. So yeah, although there are a lot of people in the UK outspoken against shows like this, including myself, there are people who will eat it up, even in 2025. It's like they can't admit that the world is changing, and using people who aren't as well off for entertainment isn't a good thing. But hey, is there even any point in arguing with them? Because at the end of the day, they'll always love their big Jessicur, and I'll always be here arguing with them. And you know what? Isn't that just the fruit of life? But thank you so much for making it to the end of this video. Like I say, a bit of a different one, so please let me know in the comments what you think and if you'd like to see more of these types of videos. You know, I love dark internet stuff, but I also love just talking with you guys, laughing at things, and also having serious discussions. But don't forget, like, subscribe, share the video if you did enjoy. We're so close to my end of year goal of 20k, and we are just over halfway through the year, so thank you so much for the support this year, guys. Let me know in the comments what you think of the Jeremy Kyle show, and if you think it was right for it to be cancelled. Don't forget to check me out on social media. I have Instagram and Blue Sky, and you can also join my Discord server, link in the description, to get involved with the community. Thank you to my Patreon supporters and YouTube members: Brooke, Entrepreneur, K4 Silver, Maury Gann, Alex Rod, Basefinger, Carmilla, Shoshka, Frozen Roses, Midnight Kitty, Sam, Colette Diki, Catfood, Moonbird, and Briar. I'll be back very soon with another video, but if you want another right now, then YouTube thinks that you'll like the video that's on your screen.